They will be the guests today on on First Take. The PTI gang at First Take across the hall coming up later this morning, which is great. But let me start with that. I want to introduce you to Dan Orlovsky. This is the guy who's hyping up the Browns.
It's
him, not me.
You got the wrong guy.
I bore the brunt of
it on your friend.
So you tell him why the Browns are going to be so good.
Find me the whole of their football team.
I'll find it. Somebody will find it September 6th or 7th. I mean, what happens? We live in an era now in which everything is prejudged analytically to the nth degree and 9 levels deep. Let them play. How many you know this much better than me. You know you've played on teams from Pee Wee on up that have personnel that said and suggested, oh, they have to be this, and they're not that. If I had $1 for every team I covered, you may know this, you're old enough. I mean, I did cover the NFL for about 15 years as well. There's so many teams that have personnel that was supposed to convey into this, and they didn't. And the Browns may be everything that they are projected now to be, and they may not. And we'll find out in September. They can't be talked in. I don't even know why HBO had them being good. Obviously, they kept putting them on. How many years have the Cleveland Browns been talked about and not been worth a damn?
Well,
lots.
Lots. I would say, like, most of those teams, first of all, the NFL, like all pro sports, are a talent-driven thing. Like, you acquire talent, and hopefully that talent meshes. I would say that when that talent doesn't mesh, it's because there's a significant lack of leadership. We don't know who we are. There's no one steering the ship, and that, for me, is why I believe the Browns are being okay with Baker Mayfield. Like, Baker Mayfield, as evidenced last year, is a different cat. I mean, he is somehow able to rally a terrible situation in an organization under terrible circumstances and somehow won them 6 or 7 games in a matter of 12 or 13 starts. And so that's why I go, like, I don't get concerned with we said the same thing about the Rams last year. Oh, they're acquiring too much talent. Is Sean McVay a young coach?
There's not too much talent. There's no such thing as too much.
But, like, all those personalities, is there enough football? We said, is Sean McVay going to be able to handle it? Somehow they got to the Super Bowl. So I don't necessarily think, like, oh, man, they've got to. I understand they have to go prove it, but we say that about every team.
Here's what I would say. They're going to be fascinating regardless of which way it goes, right? Because you have all of these personalities in a room. Mayfield is a personality. Odell is a personality. Landry is a personality. That's not even taking into account a lot of other names that you know. It's going to be fascinating to watch whichever way it goes, right?
You know who's fascinating? And yet last year were completely dysfunctional, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
Who we know had talent and leadership. We know because that leadership once got them not so long ago to a Super Bowl. This is what sports is. I mean, look at the Lakers. I mean, I'm sorry, what do we talk about every single day? A team that some people have projected to go to the conference finals couldn't get within 3 weeks of the playoffs. That's what sports is. And the Cleveland Browns, you got to show me.
So 2 things I'd like to point out really fast. The fact that Landry and Odell Beckham already have a great relationship. I do think from a personality standpoint and mixing and meshing and being able to share touches standpoint, that's good. Another guy nobody talks about, Nick Chubb, their running back, who is so humble, a workhorse, somebody who I believe will be a big part of their offense that nobody's talking about as much right now because he's not as big of a name. So to me, he's got the right personality to mesh with all of those.
Okay, remember, these are just names right now.
Right.
Get on board.
I live in Washington, D.C., where every year this was done about the Redskins. They got this player, they got Bruce Smith, they got Hall of Famers. How many playoff games have the Redskins won in the past 20 years?
The fascinating part of this.
And Joe Gibbs part of that time, man. That's not lacking leadership.
Hembo put the stat up there. The last division they won was 89. Since then, they moved to Baltimore and became the Ravens. All right, let me get to the next topic here. The Portland Trailblazers are currently up 2-0 on OKC in that series out west. And I think a lot of people would look at them winning this, despite the seeding, as an upset. But not Charles Barkley. For those of you who missed it, this was Barkley on our show yesterday talking about the Trailblazers.
You're sleeping on the Portland Trailblazers. They were my pick to get out of the West. I still think they will get out of the West. So do not sleep on the Portland Trailblazers. The addition of Enes Kanter and Rodney Hood to go with McCallum and Lillard, I think they've been the most underrated team in the NBA all year. I'm going with the Portland Trailblazers to win the West.
And apparently Charles had said that on TNT before the playoffs started, and I just missed it. So that was why it took me aback yesterday. Sean Farnham joins us here. Obviously, Golden State's on the other side of the draw. Houston on the other side of the draw. What do you think of Portland?
Well, I like Portland. I don't know that I like them quite as much as Charles, but just take into account a possible scenario. Houston can beat Golden State. I'm not picking that, but Houston can beat Golden State. And if they do, they could get Portland. Now, Portland still got to get out of this series against OKC. And I think Russell Westbrook is going to roar back in Game 3 when that series moves to OKC. But I'm not going to say it's out of the question that Portland could score the upset. They're on their side of the bracket where they got to score one big upset. It would be an enormous upset. But the way Lillard and McCollum being back in that lineup are playing, and Cantor being a great insurance policy, I mean, it's a dark horse. But, Charles also got something else right. He picked Virginia from day one.
Yeah.
From day one of the college basketball season, he had UVA winning.
He did pick the Nuggets to win last night. He guaranteed
the Nuggets.
Because Murray came out with his shirt on. All right, but that with Charles' face on it. But here's the deal. I watched the Warriors play last night. I watched the Rockets the other night, and the efficiency in which you saw. It wasn't just the numbers that James Harden threw up, but the efficiency in which they run up. And as much as I like our yearly reminder, and this is our yearly reminder on the national level of just how good Dame Lillard actually is, and CJ McCollum is outstanding, if Nurkic was there, I'd buy this. Without Nurkic, I like Cantor, but I'm not. You've got the better backcourt with the Warriors, and oh, by the way, they also have KD.
I'm with you, and that's why I wouldn't make the pick. But again, I think that pick starts with Houston beating Golden State. And I don't know what chance you give the Rockets of doing that in the next round.
They have the best chance of anybody in the Western Conference.
And then could they be knocked off there? Let's face it, Houston is not as impenetrable as the Warriors are.
Right.
We've seen some spring collapses. I'm not predicting it, but it's not out of the question. I think Charles's pick sort of gives this whole thing a little bit of spice.
All right, so we keep bringing people in here to debate with Wilbon. Let me give you this one all by yourself. Last Sunday in Augusta, Tiger Woods won the Masters. I spoke about it all day here on Monday. It was as emotional a win as I can ever remember seeing in sports. Tiger, as everyone knows, is 43, went 11 years without winning a major. Another legend by the name of Michael Jordan had this high praise for Tiger as told to The Athletic, quote, "I took 2 years off to play baseball, but nothing like that. I'm pretty sure he questioned himself whether he could get it back, and he had to put a lot of work in. But he took it head on. He had to change his game. He had to change his perspective a little bit. To me, it was the greatest comeback I've ever seen." So, Michael, I just want to give you the floor. For those who didn't get a chance to watch you this week on PTI and get your perspective on this, you don't have to necessarily address Michael Jordan's piece of this. But what Tiger Woods did, what we all saw, and I know you love golf as much as anyone I know loves golf. What, through your eyes, what did you see from Tiger Woods this week?
Well, I was glad David Aldridge called and reached Michael Jordan. That was David's piece in The Athletic. Because I always thought, long before it actually happened, and now it has happened to me, it cements it, that Tiger joined the two greatest athletes, I don't know, post-World War II, and Ali and Jordan. And what do they have? What's the thread? Comebacks. I mean, Ali's comeback obviously sort of redefined comebacks, and that we're talking 1970s before these two were born. Mm-hmm. You were barely knee pants, as they used to say. But then, of course, Jordan's comeback. And their comebacks weren't it didn't take nearly as long. Their absences weren't as great. Jordan was gone for, less than 2 full years. Right. And Ali was gone forcibly for about 3. And in my life, someone of my age, those were the comebacks. And Ben Hogan came back from something more severe physically. When you look at just the bones broken and twisted and mangled and how it was he was able to come back and win. But, I mean, culturally and just in terms of where we are now, in terms of our sports observation, I can't. Those 3, to me, are now set aside. And Tiger has a chance to, just go further. I don't know that it's even fair to expect that. I'm trying to, calm Tony down every day. He's talking about Beth Page and Pebble. And I'm like, wait a minute. Just winning the Masters, if that's all he does, and I don't think it'll be all, it's just, it's unthinkable.
What do you expect for him realistically?
You know what, Laura, for the first time, I don't have expectations. I just want to watch and enjoy Tiger.
Yeah.
Seriously, I just want to watch whenever he tees it up now, I just want to watch it, and he's off the hook. To me, he's done this thing. Atlanta, East Lake, Georgia's been pretty good to him. East Lake and now Augusta, sort not back to back, but in the same room. It's unspeakable.
I only have 90 seconds, and it requires a lot more. I grant that for this answer. But how would you put into words what Tiger Woods means right now, at this moment, with everything that we have watched, this entire life arc? What does he mean?
Well, he's one of the great sports personalities, carry it from athletically, and again, his influence culturally, and you add all that up historically, what he's done for golf, he's changed golf twice He changed it in 1997, 8, 9, and now he's changed it again. And they need to get down on their knees, because look what Tiger's done at a time where his own Nike had to say, we're out of part of this, right? And so Tiger's sort of bringing this energy back to golf again. I don't know, again, he's not Ali. But if we look over the recent arc of history, he's on the short list of discussion.
Michael Wilbon is here. He and Tony will be across the hall doing First Take a little bit later today. And what can I say? You know how much I love you. Thank you for coming by. Great to see you.
Thanks for having me. I'm going to send you a bill later.
Oh, actually, wait a minute. I'm reminded.
Good. I'm staying.
He's going to stay for the top of the hour and talk about the basketball games.
You were going to go take a nap, but you can't.
No sleep for you.
You're stuck with
I
us.
owe my dear friend over here. I'm not sure how much.
I was saying goodbye, and the good news is
me out.
he's
Too
not
soon.
going anywhere.
That's a tease.
Let's take a break, and then we'll come back with more with Michael Wilbon and his perspective on what we saw in the NBA last night. KD was a storyline. Ben Simmons was a storyline. Stephen A. is standing in the doorway. Come on in here. Put the cameras back on.
Put the cameras back on. Stephen A. coming.
Stephen A. Smith is in the
Only to see Wilbon. Yay! Hey, I'll give you my seat. You want to sit?
I'm good. How y'all doing? What's going on, man?
He's got a bagel. He's ready to go.
I like to make my life easy. Romo mode.